The crypto markets are really interestingly efficient and inefficient at the same time. What's going on here with Celsius is pretty impressive. When we look at the announcement, right, which happened on the 13th of June around the so-called temporary withdrawal suspension, right? What we can see here is that the market already anticipated all of this. So the price of the Celsius token relative to, say, Ethereum went down by 80%, right? We don't want to look necessarily at the US dollar price because all of crypto went down. The US dollar price of Celsius, of course, fell down even more. But what really matters is relative performance. And over here we see as well, of course, Celsius did go down. It fell way more than its comparator, than Ethereum. But that happened all the way up to the 13th of June, right? So this vertical line over here, that's when the announcement happened. That's when this blog post here had been posted. So people already anticipated all of this. Now, why is this suddenly turning around? It's turning around to a degree to bring us back to levels pre-crash when adjusting for Ethereum. Why is this happening? Is Celsius actually fundamentally recovering? Is the market again anticipating something that maybe the masses haven't yet discovered? And I think that's actually not the case. There are some really clever people out there. So what's happening is, once the announcement of the frozen withdrawals was published, a lot of people started to short the CEL token. So what does that mean? You're borrowing the CEL token on a borrowing and lending platform or on a centralized exchange. You borrow the token, you take up a loan denominated in CEL. And you're hoping for the price to further decline, because if it does, you can then pay back that loan with a lower price, right? The profit that you make comes from a falling price. Your loan is denominated in an asset that you hope will go down. Now, what happens technically? You borrow the token, you sell it off, and with that sale, you depress the price. At the same time, you've got lingering demand, right? Because at some point, you have to buy back the token. So other participants in the market know now, okay, there are people that have to buy the CEL token at some point in time. Now, what's interesting around this current situation is that by freezing withdrawals, the liquidity of the CEL token also cannot adjust. So the only CEL tokens that are currently circulating are the ones that had been issued pre-freeze. So there isn't a lot of CEL floating, meaning it doesn't take a lot of money in order to push the price up. So if a lot of people are shorting it, but smarter speculative people, smarter people with more money, they know about this, they can push up the price, letting other people get into losses and have them potentially margin called, right? They might get liquidated. If you're betting on falling prices, you've got some kind of collateral against that. So your loan is collateralized. If now the price suddenly goes up, you have to buy the CEL token for that inflated price because your collateral isn't sufficient anymore. That's, I think, what's currently happening. So the fundamentals of Celsius have not improved to pre-crash levels, right? People are not really anticipating that Celsius will recover. What's actually happening is games between speculative people in the market. The realistic price, the long-term price, is likely down, right? That's why so many people are shorting. But if you've got more money and you want those people to lose, then you try to induce a short squeeze. That's similar to what happened, for example, with GameStop, right? Traditional investors, they thought the GameStop business model is pretty much outdated. You now buy your video games directly online from the publisher. You just download the game, so why go into a store? The store business model is now outdated. So traditional hedge funds, they bet on falling prices of GameStop. But once the liquidity is not very high and there's a lot of shorts versus that liquidity, then you can force those short sellers to buy back the token for an inflated price once the collateral is not sufficient anymore. And so GameStop went through the roof. You also saw a similar breakpoint with Tesla, right? Tesla also had a lot of short sellers at the beginning. Once momentum turned around, they all had to buy back again, shooting up the price by like 200% or so in just a month. So very often, just taking the counter position to the short sellers can be profitable. Now that means in turn that very likely once the short squeeze is over, the Celsius token is likely going to decline at some point, right? This is no fundamental turnaround. At least it doesn't look like this. at this moment in time. This is simply just a player versus player game. And in the end, who wins is just the person that has the deeper pockets. Currently, the short sellers seem to not win this battle. And this should then also answer the question if it makes sense now to buy the CEL token. I personally think it's not such a great idea because most of the short sellers, they seem to already been squeezed out of the market, right? The price has recovered to pre-crash levels. So I'd be somewhat cautious with buying CL. I'd also be cautious with shorting, simply because if enough short momentum builds up again, then we might see just another surprise rally again. So I simply do nothing with CEL. I stay away, but I am somewhat conservative. So I'm not giving any advice over here. I simply make this video that you're aware of what's actually going on. This is unlikely a fundamental recovery. This is more likely just a fighting between two parties, and over the long term, I do think the Celsius token will decline because even the people that are currently roasting the short sellers, at some point they will also offload the position again, right? They also just do this for the short-term gains. So the long term, in my opinion, is easier to predict, is easier to anticipate than the short term. In the short term, it's just who's currently in the market with deeper pockets. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe because I do publish videos regularly. A like, of course, would be appreciated as well. It will help the channel grow. You might also check out our Telegram group. We are more than 2,000 people over there. Simply search for Bitcoin Strategy Channel within the Telegram app. Last but not least, there's a premium membership. I share daily market updates for the premium members. You can also reach me there directly. More information is in this video over here. Hope to see you in that video, and thanks for watching this one. Bye-bye.